Hello everyone, I hope you have been enjoying this course so far and learned useful skills for your future career. In this chapter, we're going to be discussing the table in Excel for the management of datasets. We will go through the concept of table, how to create and manipulate it, and how to run inquiries to fetch intended data out of the table. So the main objectives intended for this chapter include create and manipulate data, delete duplicate data, add calculated columns, working with VLOOKUP function, and also working with AutoFilter functions like COUNTIF and etc. A table, also called a database, is an organized collection of data. For example, a list of friends, a group of students registered for a class, an inventory list, a club membership roster, or an instructor's gradebook. All can be arranged as a table in a worksheet. In these cases, the data related to each person or item is called a record, and the individual data items that make up a record are called fields. For example, in a table of clients, each client would have a separate record. Each record might include several fields such as name, address, phone number, and etc. Let me show you how we can define the concept of record and column. So as I mentioned, a table is a collection of data organized in a rows and columns. Let's say here we want to save the information of the customers who purchase their items from a certain store. Customers information. I'm going to merge and center these two cells. So each customer can have a name, first name, last name, address, tel number, purchased item, and etc. For example, let's say this customer Alan Smith, address 11220 Madison Street, um, Muncie, Indiana 47303, tel number 765 589 4789, and purchase item, for example, Lay's chips. Let me format these columns so it can be visible to you. This is a table with table name, customer information, and some fields that make up an item. These fields or characteristics are first name, last name, address, telephone number, purchase item. These are located in the columns, and each column forms a field or a kind of attribute. Each row forms a record. A record stores data related to an item or person. For example, this person is a record in that table, and each record consists of multiple characteristics or fields. So Here's how we define a table and how we can distinguish a field from um, record in a table. With this table, we will be able to do so many things. For example, find our required items, sort items, change the values, add new columns, add new rows, and etc. So with table, we can add and delete records, change the values of the field in record, sort the record, delete duplicate data, and inquiry a table to find a certain data. And of course, we can display records that meet certain criteria. And also, we will be able to analyze data in a table. So these are the main advantages of a table that enables us to process and analyze our information. So working with table is much easier than just simple worksheets. This chapter's work project shown in this picture is on table. Coastal Realty sells residential and commercial properties as well as vacation condominium. The agency has asked for a workbook that summarizes key information about agents and their performance. The data in the workbook should be easy to summarize, sort, edit, and query. This table describes the field names, columns, type of data, and descriptions required for the Coastal Realty agent commission table. For example, we need agent, which is text. It includes last name and first name of the agent, category of the property, which can be residential, commercial, or vacation, the experience of the agent, and the other parameters or arguments, um, or it is better to say fields of these tables and the types of data. So now let's go to Excel and create this table. So you can download the required data set, Excel forms from the data files for students from Cengage website. I have already downloaded this form. Chapter 6, Coastal Realty Agent Commission. I'm going to copy it to my desktop. As I mentioned, you can download the required datasets from Cengage website. So here's our dataset, range of items. We are going to define these items as our data table because we want to use the features, special features of the table in Excel to work with this kind of table. So first is the title of the or the header of the table. So first I'm going to select all these cells and define it as the header of the table. I can use merge and center. The other way is to go to format cells, alignment, and from the horizontal we can select center across selections. Center across selection is going to center the text and without losing the individual cell items. Look at this one. In the previous chapter we just used the merge and center. The merge is going to combine all the cells and create one cell as the title, but here we keep our individual cells and put our text in the middle and at the center of the cell groups. So here is our table. range of items, range of cells, we want to define it as our table. So first we need to select it, and then from this menu, format as a table, we can define our range as our table. So our table is going to include A8 through J21, and has header, and it is going to consider the first row as the header of the table or the name of the columns. So we have to tick this one, click OK. So it is going to be our data table. With this table, we can add rows. For example, we can add name of new agents. For example, Alan, Smith, Alan, like vacation, experience 10 years, hire date 2011, yearly sales quota, for example $500,000, and year to date sale $600,000, and commission rate 7.5%. So this way we add a new column, just like when we add a kind of row in a worksheet, but Excel will automatically identify the new row and add it as a column of the table. And of course here we can add new columns to the table. For example, we can add columns like year to date commissions, over and under quota, because we want to rank the agents into 3 categories with this kind of column. And the third column is the standing. This column defines where each agent stands compared to other agents. We want to rank them based on their performance and the commission that they get. And standing is the letter grade for the under quota. So here's the how we add row and columns. So you see that with the table we just define the name of the column, and Excel will automatically add new rows for the entire table. These are the main facilities of the Excel with table. So here is our data table. So we can name our table. We need to go to the table design, and here we can, for example, change the name to commissions. So in order to work with this table, first we need to pre-process our information. There may be some duplicate information. When multiple people enter information, we may have some error in data entry or multiple and duplicate data. One of the main tasks of in data analysis is pre-processing, and it includes removing duplicate data and dealing with outliers and etc. So here is our data table. As a pre-processing task, we want to remove duplicate data. Here's the list of columns. We want to include all of the columns and see if there is any duplicate data. If we look over our table, you will see that there are Lakshit West. This item, Alyssa Carey. We have two rows for this column. So we have duplicate data and we have to delete this data. But Excel will do that for us by just clicking this remove duplicates. So we will select all of this column. One duplicate value found and removed. 13 unique values remain. So it has removed the duplicate data from our table. So now we have unique items in our table. So each row contains a unique agent. So I'm gonna save my file, Control S. So now we want to see how we can add calculated data to our data set. For example, year-to-date commission. With worksheets, simple worksheet, we used to enter a formula and then copy it in the rows. But with table, we just entered the formula once, which is an important feature, which is called calculated field. For example, for the year to date, here we can enter year to date commission equals, here from this drop down list you see the list of variables defined for this table. For example, list of fields. We can use this field with this syntax. For example, year to date sales multiplied by commission rate. It is going to calculate our year-to-date commission rate. Yes, with just one click the Excel is going to populate the entire column, so we don't need to copy paste this item in all these columns, and it is a very helpful and useful feature when working with big data sets and big tables. So let's go to the over and under column. This column determines the position of each agent compared to other agents, and because we want to rank these agents, you can find the required formulas for these columns from page 359 of the textbook in Excel chapter 6. Okay, so again we want to define a calculated field. It equals, open bracket, year to date sales, close bracket, divided by yearly sales quota, yearly sales quota. Okay, so here we get the over and under quota for each agent. We want to with this column we want to rank our agent into three categories: bronze, silver, and gold. So here we have the ranking number of each agent, but it is much easier to define grade letter grades for each agent to see which category each uh, agent fits in. So we can define a lookup table. It is called a lookup table. I'm going to call it standing table, over or under quote, and the next column is going to be standing. For example, if a person makes 0%, its ranking is going to be bronze. If it makes 100%, it's going to be silver. And if it makes 125%, its ranking is going to be gold. So let me format this table. I'm going to select this one and use merge and center. I'm going to select the heading and format it cell style. I'm going to define this style. Let's see. Let me make it bigger. And these are percentages. I'm going to right click on that, click on format cells, and define its data type as percentage with 2 decimal places. Okay, one hundred, 125%. Okay, so to facilitate display of each agent's standing, we can use VLOOKUP function. So I'm going to define it as our lookup function. So with this table, we can identify which standing each agent fits into. Let me format this one. Wrap text. Okay, so I can use lookup table, VLOOKUP. We have horizontal lookup, HLOOKUP, and VLOOKUP for vertical lookup. Horizontal lookup is used when we have a kind of horizontal table. For our case, we have a vertical kind of table. We can use lookup table to find items, to find kind of fields and data that meet certain criteria. It has these fields: lookup value. First we have to define the item that we want to look up in our lookup table. For example, the first value or the lookup value is going to be I9. We want to compare this value and check with this table to see which category our value fits in. I9, and then table array, which defines the lookup table. Our table range must be L3 through M5. L3 through M5, and the last item is going to be the column index number. These two means it refers to the second column in the lookup table. It returns these values, which means this lookup table first receives the first argument, this argument I9, this is 0.75, and then based on this table it wants to rank this value. So, and then it must return the call index number, for example 2, which means first you have to compare 0.75 with these values in this table and then return the value of the second column. So 2 refers to the second column of their VLOOKUP table, to the lookup table. Okay, so I'm going to close this VLOOKUP table, and with just one click it is going to rank all of the agents and columns. So it is a very useful feature when working with big tables, big data sets, and it is very it's going to make our work much easier. So here's how we define calculated fields and how we can work with VLOOKUP table to check a value with the predefined items in a lookup table. And by clicking these items we can query a table. Query is used when we want to find a certain item. And we can also, from these tables, we can sort the values from smallest to largest based on certain kind of columns or fields, and we can also filter some values and etc. So these are the most important features of the table in Excel, and especially in business and quantitative table data sets. It will make our work much easier. So please take a look at Excel chapter 6 of the textbook and work with this example. And if you have any questions, please join my virtual meeting room or send me an email. Thank you.